Alright, so today we're going to be talking about something I call the letter patterns. I have this little piece of paper right here. So I will give you the benefits first of why you would want to learn this piece of music theory. And then I'll explain what the music theory is behind it. And then I will show you how to play it on the guitar. And then we'll try this first exercise here with octaves so that you can start to really get the fingering under your hands and also hear how all these music theory pieces sound. And of course get a little bit of improvising training, practical application of the music theory immediately. So the benefits. Well, one of the things is when you learn music theory, sometimes it's hard to actually apply it. I was just talking about the application, the practical application. So this is an easy way to immediately start to apply music theory to your guitar playing very quickly. Another really good benefit is to memorize the entire fretboard very easily, very quickly, to be able to play very, very quickly through different scales because, speed playing, shredding, things like that. This is sort of a trick for that. Also, to be able to shift positions from, down here on the guitar neck to like somewhere in the middle to like super high without thinking, just immediately being able to shift around like that. Another benefit. To be able to really understand what you're playing when you play it. So you know what the notes are and you know what's happening. So that's another really good benefit to this. So aside all that, basically what this is a system to memorize, understand, and apply the modes on the guitar. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to try to memorize all the white notes on the piano on your guitar. So that way, it's going to help you to be able to memorize a scale of where all the notes are on the guitar. So it's going to be very easy for you to play fast and, shift around in positions, as well as to understand what notes you're actually playing. If you memorize all the white notes on the piano and you just playing the white notes on the piano, it's going to be pretty easy for you to know like what notes you're playing because, there's only 7 of them. It's in a straight line. It's pretty simple. So essentially that's our goal here, to memorize the white notes on the guitar. So basically what this is a way to play in different modes. So what this means is essentially we have this scale here. These are all the white notes on the piano, right? We got A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. It's pretty self-explanatory what this is. It's a scale. Now, if you know, there are 2 scales. There's a minor scale and there's also a major scale. Now, the funny thing is, they're actually both the same notes. Like if you play A minor, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if you play C major, it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So it's all the same notes for these 2 different scales, right? And you're thinking like, wow, that's got to be really confusing. Like, well, if I go down here, if I follow these notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and it keeps going, that's the C major scale. And if I start here on this letter A, and I count through the notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's the scale. So as you can see, both these scales, C major and A minor, they are the same notes, but they're 2 different scales you probably heard of. So obviously, if you could start on the A and go down, and that's a completely new scale, and you start on the C and you go down, and that's a new scale, well, it goes to think that you could start on the B and go down, from B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, you start and end on the B, and that's a new scale, right? Well, yeah, it's called the Locrian Scale. It's a rare scale. You don't really hear of it too much. Generally, most of the things you're going to play are in minor or major. So it's going to start on the A, end on the A. Start on the C, end on the C. Well, we can also start on the D and end on the D. We could start on the E and end on the E. So we have all these different scales. And of course, all of them have different sounds. And I guess I don't know why people get really confused about this. It's pretty simple. You have 7 different notes. You start on each one of the notes and you just play through you just play through the white notes. On the piano, it's very simple. You have all the notes lined up in a row. You're not touching black notes, okay? Only white notes. So you start on the A note and you just go dun 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 dun. and you end on the A, and that's the A minor scale. Okay, so now you go to the B note, and you do the same thing. You just walk up the white notes. You start on the B, and you go ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you end on the B note. So now you're not playing the minor scale. It's not going to sound like the minor scale. It's going to sound like the Locrian scale. All right, you start on the C note, and then you go dun 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 dun, dun, and you end on the C. That's the C major. All right, so hopefully this is just making sense now. You're playing the same notes, but you're starting on different letters, different starting points and ending points. And even though they're all exactly the same notes, because you're starting on those different notes, it's going to sound different. I mean, it makes sense. So basically, that's modes in a nutshell. Now, what's really nice about these modes is that, of course, you get different sounds for all of them. So it is difficult to memorize all the different shapes of these modes, which is why I've broken them down into 7 easy to fit patterns on one single piece of paper. So I guess I'm just going to give you the tab for all these positions. And I might give you a link to this paper. So we're going to start with the first pattern, which is A. Essentially, all of these letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, they have their own little pattern. And the pattern is only 2 strings. All right, it's only 6 notes. So the first one is going to be A. We're going to start here on the 5th fret. This is the A note. And I'm going to play, if I had sound on my guitar, I'm not sure what's happening. Just give me a second. All right, there we go. Hopefully this is loud enough. So I'm going to give you the tab for the A letter pattern. We're going to start with the A. All right, we're going to memorize the A letter pattern. It starts on the 5, and then we play the 7, and then the 8 on the 6th string. So 5, 7, 8. And we're going to do this exact same thing on 2 strings. 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. And it sounds pretty much like the minor scale. It's missing one of the letters. It's missing the 7th note. And then we sort of start it over again. But it's only 6 notes. Alright. So we've got 6 notes. That's our letter pattern. Now this is starting from the A note. So let's head up to the B note now. We're going to move our index finger to the B. We're going to start on the B note, and it's going to be a 7, 8, 10, and a 7, 8, 10 on the next string. 7, 8, 10. Okay, so we've got 2 letter patterns, the A and the B. We're going to head up to the C, 8, 10, 12, on 2 strings. 8, 10, 12. And that's going to be our C letter pattern. Now for D, I'm going to encourage us to go to the next string. No, let's just keep it on the same string. So for D, we're going to go to the 10th fret, and we're going to start 10, and then 12, and 13 on one string, and then 10, 12, and 14 on the next string. So it's different on 2 strings now all of a sudden. 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 14. That's going to be your D letter pattern. Alright, now if you're getting a little bit confused because this is a lot of new patterns, well, it's okay. We're going to go through each one of them on its own, and we're going to practice it by itself. Actually, we might do this in the next video, but anyway. So I'm just going to explain all the tab for this, and then the next video we'll do the exercise of octaves. Okay? So here we're going to go to the E now, and this is the 12th fret. So 12, 13, 15, 12, 13, 15. On the next string it's 12, 14, 15. Alright, if you've noticed, by the way, if you know any of the modes or any of the scales, you'll see that this is the first 2 strings of each one of these scales. So this is the first 2 strings of A minor, the first 2 strings of B Locrian, the first 2 strings of C major, and you keep going. It's the first 2 strings. Just those 2 strings. D, first 2 strings. Okay. For E, the first 2 strings. Alright, it's pretty simple. So now for F, let's go down to the 1 over here for F. And we've got a 1, a 3, and a 5, and then a 4, or sorry, a 2, a 3, and a 5. So 1, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. Alright, now of course these shapes, you can play them in any position. It's always going to be the exact same shape after you change and you go to the same letter. Alright, so if you start here on the A, this is going to be basically our first exercise of octaves. Let me just really quickly finish up the last letter pattern, which was G. 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7. Alright, and you'll find it's actually the same position, the same shape as the C shape, which was 8, 10, 12. Alright, and then 3, 5, 7, you might notice that those two are the same shape. So again, these are just the first 2 strings of all these different modes. So you're just going to memorize a 6-note sequence, and then what's really nice is that you can go to any letter. So if you're starting again here on the A, this is going to be basically our first exercise, is you're going to start on the A, play that pattern, and then you can go find another A. So the next octave would be right here, and you would play the same exact pattern. You know, index, ring, finger, pinky, index, ring, finger, pinky. Like over here, you played index, ring, finger, pinky, index, ring, finger, pinky. Over here on the 10th fret, another A, same pattern. Okay, so anytime you see a letter, you can actually just play that pattern, and it'll be perfect. Obviously, this is not going to work on the 3rd string. If you do anything on the 3rd string, the B string is actually shifted up, so it's going to mess with everything that you do. So we're not really going to be doing these patterns ever starting on the 3rd string. We're going to start on the 6th string, we're going to start on the 4th string, we'll start on the 2nd string, and we'll even sometimes start on the 5th string, but we're probably never going to start on the 3rd string, just because it's hard. Alright, so this was the explanation of the music theory and some of the tabs of what we're actually going to play here, these little patterns. I showed you the shapes of them, and hopefully you can see them on the piece of paper. And as we go through some of these exercises, these shapes will get more and more like imprinted in your fingertips. And the first exercise is going to be the octaves, but we'll do that in the next video because this one already went pretty long. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.